Ba, 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 ba.
Guilty
Guilty
balls.
balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Kilted Balls podcast. Kilted, another great job on the theme music. You're amazing.
Thank you. I need to remember, and sometimes I forget, but lately I've been remembering that there's a slight delay. So I need to start saying kilted before you do. Where usually I wait for you. So
Nice. I
those
didn't even
first
think
those
about
first
that.
200 episodes, that's why I'm slightly off. I hadn't considered it.
Yeah, that's probably true. There probably is a slight delay. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
So I trimmed this today. I don't know,
it's looking good.
I don't know, if it did anything, but I took the shaver that I use on my hair and I used on this.
There you go. I
So
use my undercarriage shaver for this.
nice, nice. That seems like the right way. Had an interesting conversation today after dinner. Not much of a conversation, more of a teasing. But I
Yeah.
was laughing because my middle kiddo is home from college right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, I was under the weather a little bit this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so there, my wife or somebody was like, "Oh, so you have COVID or whatever." And I'm like, I don't get COVID. And they're like, you took a test. And I'm like, right, but the test I don't think was really conclusive. And they're like, maybe you should take it again because you're probably negative now. I'm like, I was probably negative before. And they're like, my wife is like, are you trying to gaslight yourself that you don't have COVID? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no. And she's like, you can't gaslight yourself like that. And my middle daughter's like, oh, yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I feel great. And she's like, you don't feel great. And I'm like, I do. It was a great practice today. And
Mm-hmm.
my kid came home from college and that was great. I go,
Yeah.
and I've slept a lot. I go, I feel really, really good. And they're like, are you trying to gaslight yourself? That's not good. And my daughter was like, yes, it is. You should gaslight yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it does
Exactly.
work. And that's the right way to do it. And I'm like, yeah,
That's
that's my
awesome.
girl.
I was thinking about her a bit this week because I had done a 40-hour fast.
Oh, yeah.
I was drinking water and coffee, but I thought of it a couple times, popped into my head.
40
She's a little
hours
more
is a
hard
long
care.
time. That's almost 2 days.
Yeah.
And she would say that if you thought it was hard, that you're weak because you had water and
I did
coffee.
not think it wasn't that hard. It's easier because I wasn't around the kids for dinner. So,
Okay.
a lot of times like I'll choose times to fast or
Mm-hmm.
intermittent fast, but it's difficult for me like if we're going places or like if I'm cooking for everybody, so it's hard not to eat at those times.
Yes,
But I knew I'd be away.
I think as long as you're busy, it's not that hard. I
Yeah.
worry nowadays in my old age, um, and I've gone pretty long times without
Mm-hmm.
food, not because I'm necessarily fasting, but just because I'm dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
like you've been around me for a long enough time, right? Like I get incredibly hangry
Yes.
and I'll get a headache. And there's not many things that give me a headache, but lack of food is one of them. And I get hangry. And so I'm like, man, I wonder in my old age, how bad that would be. Like, because it's funny because I think there's a sweet spot there where if I miss the hangry stage, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
You
like
just have to get by that,
you got to
not
get
around anyone else.
right. Like I can't be around people during that stage. So I need something distracting me during that stage.
Mhm.
Right. Because it's not like I've laughed before. It's not that I'm actually starving, right? Like it
Yeah.
could be 7 o'clock at night and you're like, well, you had lunch at noon. Yep. And now I'm ticked. So
hmm
it's not that I need food. It's that something in my brain is telling me I have to have food.
hmm
So,
Well, my experience, especially in our older age, you tend to get more hangry when people are like dilly-dallying and can't decide what we want to eat or this or
oh, yes,
that.
that's true. That gets me
I don't
so,
know.
that gets me
I
so much
don't want
madder.
that. Just
So
pick.
much madder.
I
That
don't
is
want to
true.
pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you pick and it's the wrong choice. That's the one
hmm
that actually bothers me. the
Hmm.
most, right? Like,
Yeah, I
hey,
remember that happened when you guys were here. You
oh
guys were
yes, that
asking about
happens
it.
to me. Honestly, it happens to me all the time. Hey, when do you want to eat? Oh, I don't care. You go ahead and choose. Okay, let's go to McDonald's. I don't want McDonald's. Okay, okay, then choose. Yeah, but I don't want to choose. You don't get to tell me no.
Yeah, you get a choice here.
Yep. If you don't want to choose, then you've got to let me choose.
Hmm. So I have a fun little story, and
I am so excited about your story.
I can't it it doesn't matter how it came about. I don't remember what had happened to make it come about,
Hmm.
but it just popped into my head like, okay, Ollie's in third grade. Morgan will probably be starting school in 2 years, or at least kindergarten. He might do pre-K next year. He doesn't have to,
Okay.
but he'll be 6 in 2 years. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what, I haven't looked into it at all, but it just popped into my head like it would be fun to get a job at their school.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
because I think they have all the way up to high school in there. I don't know if anyone's
Wow.
graduated yet, but I don't know like if they have it like in a bigger school where it's like they have a science teacher for high school, if they have, or if like they have just a teacher that's kind of teaching everything for that higher grade.
Right, right.
But it kind of circled back around to like, what am I going to do next?
Hmm.
And that's something that I almost have my master's in education because I was going to do that before I started doing shows.
Right.
And so yeah, it just kind of popped into my head. It might be worth looking into. I may or may not, but it was just like, huh, because I have, you know, I'd have the same schedule. Like in my mind, I'm like, well, I'd have the same schedule as them anyways.
Right.
So I'm there every day in the morning. I'm there every day at night. We make sure we don't miss too many days of school when we go on vacations and take breaks and things like that. So I
Right.
don't know. I don't know, but like the idea was out there.
Nice. Interesting idea. Kind of a zigzag that I wasn't expecting.
Hmm.
That's a huge zigzag. But that might be really fun.
Yeah. I mean, not that, well, I guess I just don't know like what would be required of it. And once I find out, would I be willing to do what's required?
Right, right. Yeah,
Because
for
back then, all I had to do was student teach,
yes.
but rules are different in each state, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. It's
Well,
just kind of interesting. I'm putting out in the universe. Like,
and with the teacher shortage, it's different, as
hmm,
well nowadays. So,
yeah.
wow, interesting, interesting, I think. Yeah, like we needed, here's one for you. We needed one like last year or the year before, and it was open for an entire year, but we wanted a business teacher.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like just a business teacher, and people don't realize there's like different kind of things.
Hmm.
But in order to be this, you had to have been working, it was like 4,000 hours in the last like 2 years in that profession
Yeah.
as a business person. Like you
Hmm.
couldn't have been a teacher, you had to be a business
Yeah.
professional. And I was like, I remember teasing the superintendent because they're like, oh, we can't find anybody, we can't find anybody. I'm like, why? Just throwing out there, why do you think somebody who's been successful in the business world, putting that many hours, is going to come work for you for $40,000? Just like, where do you think that would possibly be the right choice?
Like if the money is not as big of a deal.
Yeah, well, they were like, well, we were
Yeah.
thinking maybe if they retired or maybe they did this. I'm like,
Hmm.
you're talking about a unicorn,
Yeah.
and that's not a thing. Like well, I mean, like it is a thing, but I'm like, you're wondering why it's taking you a year and you
Hmm.
haven't found
Yeah.
anybody because you're looking for a unicorn. It's
Yeah.
going to take you years and years and years
Hmm.
to
To find that
find
person.
right to find that person,
Hmm.
right? And I'm like, that's just a weird niche thing.
Yeah.
Not that you can't. It's just a weird niche thing.
That's
So
true. They are out there.
yeah, we found one eventually, right? But I was like, it's
Did you?
well, we did a couple different things.
Because I
The
remember you
first,
talking about it before.
well, the first thing was I'm like, you got to pay more than $40,000.
Yes.
Like I took a
That makes sense.
picture, like I was going
Hmm.
through Panda Express during these conversations, and
Hmm.
I was like, took a picture of their job posting as I was going through the drive-through for a manager, which
Mm-hmm.
was paying 60,000. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, so just so you know, for no qualifications, Panda Express will hire you for
Yeah.
20,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
You might be doing it wrong.
Yeah. Something might be backwards here.
Something might be backwards. So yeah, you got to figure that stuff out. But yeah, so I think that'd be amazing and awesome. So when is Momo's birthday? Like what month?
June.
Wow, that was really like right on June.
July. July. June or July.
It was one of those J months
Oh,
for sure.
it's one of those J months. I didn't want to be wrong. I put it in my calendar. I type it in all the time on like when we go on vacations and stuff.
So
Well, because
he
I get
will
confused with
turn
angels, right around angels.
he'll turn
July.
5 in
Yeah.
June or July,
Yep.
but you're not going to start him in school until he's already 6.
That's what Gina's leaning towards.
Yeah.
And I agree with well, I guess one thing is it came up. Here we go. Let's see. Ba-ba-ba. Yes, July 16th. Okay, yes. Because Angel is the 13th. I knew it was right around there.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, Tristan brought up like because his birthday is August,
Mm-hmm.
and he went in and he was the littlest the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about things. What is that? The one book.
10,000 hours
Outliers.
or outliers. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, not that Morgan is going. I mean, not that he's going to be some professional sports player or something like that. But Tristan's like, I really, really suggest having him be an older person in his class than the youngest person in his class.
Yeah. No, I've always thought boys should be held back. So we didn't hold Cal back, but I forget what the reasoning was at the time. I think we just needed him to be in school.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think at the time we were like, yeah, we're going to put him in school and then maybe we'll hold him back after like going into first grade.
Okay.
Right. Because they have different programs. And we're like, we'll just hold him back. And then the teachers at the school like asked me to please not do that.
Okay.
They said, they go, please don't hold him back. I'm like, why? And they're like, think about how bored you were in school. They're like, and how much trouble you caused, like you as a person. And now think about your kid and how much trouble he's going to cause and how bored he's going to be if you hold him back. And I was like, all right, I go, I'll let you guys have this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, and like Morgan won't have the board issue because you won't have already started him, right?
No,
like Cal was gonna be bored, right? Like he was already he would have already done all of the stuff, he would have already been through all of the things, and he is not a kid who would have forgot all of that stuff and forgot all those things. So it would not have been great for his teachers.
That is like something that we talk about as a slight concern because he learns a lot all the time. Like we're always doing stuff, and obviously Oliver's just a few years older and he's seeing the work he's doing and so that is a slight concern, like even when he starts, but it'll be fine.
No, I think it's good. Like I said, I've preached that for years and years and years. And it's funny that I didn't do it with my own kids, even though I've preached it for years and years. Like I really thought we would do it for Cal, but it was one of those things where we needed him to go to school. It wasn't about what was best for him. It was about what was best for the group as a whole, not the individual
and
child.
it could be like that, come next year. But when he was in the pre-K earlier this year, he had just turned 4.
Yes.
And he was not ready. He was not ready at all.
No. Well, he might have been ready, but Mom was for sure not ready. For sure not ready.
We'll say they both weren't ready.
Yes. That's the nice way of saying it, right? I tell parents that all the time. Like with like wrestling or all of this, and they're like, well, they're just not ready. And I'm like, it's not them.
Mm-hmm.
I go, it's you. And they're like, well, no, and I go, no, no, no. The fact that you're talking to me shows me that it's you. You should never
Mm-hmm.
talk to me.
Yeah.
What do you mean I shouldn't talk to you? I'm like, that's you taking the power away from somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't take their power away. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I had parents talk to me like that when I was a track coach, it was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like there was this one dad, he's like, well, I did this and I ran in college. Like, you're not your son. Like,
No.
he's like, oh, he needs to be on the 4x4. I was like, no, he's in last place, like in all the races. Like he's a great kid, but he's in last. He's not going to be on a relay. Oh, speaking of, I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw it. We haven't interviewed him yet, but our good friend Miles,
Yes. Yes.
and I know he listens to quite a few of the episodes, but and I gave him a shout out already. But his daughter holds the record for their 4x4 team.
No way.
Yeah, she got it earlier this year. I saw on Insta. She was like pointing at her name, and I'm like, that's awesome. Because that was my whole job, was to try to take our fastest girls and turn them into quarter and half mile runners.
Right. Like that was the gig. Yeah.
I was like, awesome. She's already doing it. So
That is
yeah, he said
amazing.
she's super athletic. He loves it.
Well,
He's like, she's
that is
way more
awesome.
athletic than I ever was.
I was just thinking, I'm like, how did this work with him? How old is she now?
She's in high school. Maybe she's a
Must be.
freshman. Yeah, I don't remember when she was. I was obviously I was still in Florida when she was born.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah, I thought that was super awesome. I was proud of him.
heck yeah, that's awesome. I did not see that. That's so much fun.
Hmm.
It's fun to me. Fun to me.
I thought it was real fun. Oh, another fun thing came up.
Yeah.
So, we get like the little emails, like teachers talk about different things at holidays or what they
Mhm.
like. And Gina and I talk about, because the principal, he's out there like directing traffic, and he's new this year. And he seems like a cool guy.
Sure.
Well, he does have red hair, but he seems like a cool guy besides that. So, but he said on his thing he likes to disc golf. So
Oh,
I was like, we were in line and he was there, and I was like, listen, like, we need to disc golf. Like, I'd love to go out with you, and so who knows if that'll happen, but that'd be cool to have
that'd be
another
super
disc
cool. You should
here in the
definitely get him to
area.
do that. I think that'd be
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, because he's like, I haven't played much recently. I'm like, you wrote down in your thing you love to do it.
Well, I love to do it, and I haven't done it since probably the
That's
last time you
true.
were up. So
That's true.
it's interesting. I don't know how I ran into him, but like one of our neighbors who's Brenna's best friend's dad, right?
Mhm.
And the mom does like band booster stuff with my wife. So we run into him all the time, and the dad is always just weird, right?
Mhm.
Like not like a bad way, but just weird, right? Like
Mhm.
I would probably hang out with him, but I would think he was weird the whole time I was hanging out with him. And if all of you are like, wait, that doesn't make a lot of sense. No, like Kilted is weird, Jamie's weird, Jason's weird. They're all weird, but they're my kind of weird. This guy is weird, and I'm not sure if it's my kind of weird or not. But I'd probably have a good time hanging with him. But I forget where we were at. I was doing something, and I was like, how's it been going? Like I said, they live not very, they're like neighbors down the road. And he's like, oh, I've just been disc golfing a lot with my son, who's a freshman at MSU. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, we go and we disc golf over at the retreat center, which, is my home course. I was like, that's cool. I go, I love disc golf. And he's like, oh, really? Really? And I'm like, yeah. I go, we should like go sometime, bring your kiddo and we'll go. And he's like, oh, are you like really good? And I'm like, no. I'm like, but I play a little bit, and I try to play when I can, but I'm always way too busy. He's like, oh, like we go there all the time, and we're working. I forget at the time he was like, we're trying to get, our goal is to get like 3 over par on that course. And I was like, oh, awesome. That's a good goal. And he goes, have you played that course a lot? I'm like, yeah, that's probably the one I play the most.
Hmm.
And he's like, well, what do you shoot there? And I'm like, you mean like on a normal, like if I just grabbed a disc and went and threw today? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'd be disappointed if I got par. He's like, wait, you then you are good. And I'm like, I'm no, I'm not really that good. It's just a really short course.
It's just really easy.
It's a real easy course, so I don't have to worry about it. Well, that's our goal, is to get under par
Hmm.
once before the end of the year. I'm like, that's an awesome goal. We should go
Hmm.
sometime. And he's like, yeah. And then like later on one day, I was sitting with him like in the stands and maybe a football game or something. He's showing me pictures and like videos of them like shooting at
Hmm.
the course. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like so cute.
So they were were they filming each other so they could see what they were doing wrong, or
I
just filming
think
each other because it's
I think he
fun?
was just taking
Because
pictures of like the course. He's like a
oh, okay,
photographer. And so he
okay.
was like, we were on this course. I'm like, yep. He goes, you know how in that spot where it goes around, it does this? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're always trying to get that gap. I'm like, I have a super hard time with that gap. He's like, us too. And I'm like, I always land by the next hole. He's like, oh, right. Like we kind of bounce off the trees and stuff.
Like we don't
But
quite make it there.
I'm like, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, because I was, and I was thinking the same thing. I was, when he had said he doesn't play much, I'm like, okay, maybe we're about the same level,
Yes,
because you want, you never know where people are. Like you
you
go out
don't
there
know.
and someone's like shooting 10 strokes underneath you, like, oh.
Well,
Cool.
yeah, I'm like, he's like, we play, like he was saying, we played like 2 or 3 times a week at minimum. And I was like, oh, wow, you guys are probably doing pretty awesome.
Hmm.
And then I'm like,
But
yeah, if I went out today, I probably wouldn't
hmm
shoot par.
hmm
Maybe I
that's
would.
the 40 years of playing, I guess
I was just
30.
gonna say, I'm like, you've been playing for like 6 months and I've been
Hmm.
playing for
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
Like I got my 10,000 hours. Oh wait, 10,000 rounds in. I should be a little. I think breaking my arm hurt me. I should have. I should be a lot better than I am, but I have a
Oh
good
my gosh.
excuse.
You were doing great. You were doing great when you broke your arm. When you broke your arm, it really screwed you
Actually, I
up. You don't have
broke
that
both of
same
them.
flick anymore.
I don't. Something happened to it.
Man, I
All those
watched
little
some of
bones in
those
my.
videos like on TikTok and YouTube. Those people can throw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I
It's
watch, right?
awesome.
So I watch them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody's like, are you good? I'm like, no, have you seen these people on TikTok?
Have you seen good people play?
I'm like, I've seen good, I've played in tournaments with good people. I'm not that level,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? But am I better than you? Yes, I'm way better than you. And you could have asked that question, right? They could have said, are you better than me? And I'd been like, oh yeah, for sure. I'm better
Hmm.
than you, but I'm not good.
Yeah.
I just enjoy playing. I just go out,
Yeah.
take my walk in the woods,
Mm-hmm.
throw the disc.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to play some more. And I've been mowing at the warehouse. So I have my portable disc. I'm going to move around and put in a couple different spots to practice like some
nice.
different shots and stuff, besides just putting inside, which I haven't done in forever. So
Did you see like the proof of concept that I did? I had it over by the motorhome. Did you ever see that?
your disc golf where you're gonna do the thing, like build the
No,
course on your property.
no, like the actual disc golf hole that I made.
I don't know
No,
if that
so
was made when
because
we were there.
it probably wasn't there. So I don't know what like got into my brain.
Hmm.
I literally I don't remember how this happened. I think I was thinking of something, but I took the sweet and sour racks. You remember the sweet and sour
Hmm.
racks?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make sure I've got this right in my head. So if you remember I had the legs that just like clamped
Yeah.
on. So I took those legs and I put them going outside on a like 6 spoked PVC thing. Like I forget if it was four,
Oh, I
six, or
did see
five.
it.
And then I just took like the PEX tubing because it was
Mm-hmm.
already curved, and I just curved it
Yeah.
around and fastened it
Mm-hmm.
together. And then I'm like, I wonder if chains will go on this. And so I threw a whole bunch of chains on it, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I could make a disc golf hole this way.
Yes.
I
I
didn't.
do.
So like I just wanted to see if I could.
Mm-hmm. When you
So
said the PEX, I do remember seeing that. That was there.
yeah.
That was there at the party this summer.
Yeah. Oh, it was? I didn't think I'd made it then.
Maybe you sent the picture or something then, because when you said that, I
I might have sent a picture
envisioned it.
because I think I did it like sometime in August or this fall. Because I was like,
Okay,
I bet I could do this. And I did. And I was like, oh,
that's
it was for
awesome.
sure later because Cal and I drilled a hole in like one of the pieces of wood to split and put it in the hole that we drilled.
Oh, okay, okay.
So just to see if it would sit in one of my pieces of wood. And I was like, oh my gosh,
That's
that'll
awesome.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I didn't make a basket and I didn't hang a whole bunch of chains. I had like a chain sitting there. And so I just
Yeah,
like draped it over. So it's like just to
just to
give
see.
myself to see. And I'm like, this could work. You could make a disc golf basket, paint it,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd be good to go.
Yeah,
And it would probably last because it's all PEX and PVC and
yeah.
chain.
Lasts forever.
Like that thing would be cool and easy to move or
I
whatnot.
have
So,
extra packs. Sweet. And
well,
I have a
that's
bunch of PVC.
it was sitting there like all in my way. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
PVC PEX. I'm like, I should be able to do something with this. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can do something. So,
That's awesome.
and I could, baby, and I could. So,
I don't have any
which
chains.
brings me, I talked about this in our 36 step challenge recently, but I don't think I talked about it here. It's same idea, but for some reason, when we were doing our 36 step challenge, and if listeners, if you forgot, the 36 step challenge is a set amount of money. And every time you can turn that amount of money into a new amount of money, that's one of your steps. And so, like the first step zero is $100. You turn it into 130. That's step one. Turn
Mm-hmm.
it into 169. That's step two, and so on. And you document it on our Discord, or you shout us out on Twitter with that idea. And
Mm-hmm.
I could not get started. Kilted started right away, but I was like, oh,
Yep.
I want to try this, or I want to do this. I want to be different. I want to do this. And I realized all of a sudden that that is what screws me up 99% of the time whenever I'm trying to do anything. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think about it too much and I'm like, oh, I really want to make some art, but I want it to be different than everybody else's art. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. I forget what I want to do. And then I get, and it goes against one of our prime tenets here on Kilted Balls, which is just go do the thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
stop worrying about it, mix in the cool stuff as you just do stuff. And
Yeah.
so I just started doing it. I'm like, okay, I don't even care about the rules. I'm just going to
Yeah.
start doing it. And so
Yeah.
far it's been working well.
That's awesome.
So
So
for me,
I picked up a couple things at the Goodwill this week. So
woo,
a couple mugs, hashtag mug life.
mug
Thank you, Gary
life.
V. And then yeah, I have a pair of little girl shoes that are going for a good amount on
Oh,
eBay.
they weren't just
So
for you.
were not for me. My feet are a little big for that. But and you made a good point because I was posting all my trades on the 36 step
Oh,
challenge.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
agree it should be in the trading area. But I think is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just give updates each month. Like if like whether I'm to the next step, if I'm not to the next step, because it would be tough to do each month, especially the idea is the year, but
Yeah,
to
yeah,
give
yeah.
the updates then. So it's not like all the updates. But
No, but
see,
that's true. Like, hey, this is what I've been working on. This is what I've been trying to
mhm.
do. It's going good.
Talking about being creative, I I've talked about it on here. I did the Kickstarter for the Brandon Sanderson,
Yes, yes.
and this month I got is the final month. It's the last thing we got. And
Hmm.
one of the things that he put in, because I do have a lot of fun story ideas that I've never written
Yes.
down, but he there are still stories to tell. So this is like a journal book that he sent, and it's got all the lines in it. But one thing that's really cool, and he had talked about, he said that there's some notes in there too, where he wants people to
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
notes. A world where robots are trying to resurrect humankind after they accidentally killed everyone off.
Yes.
Sorry about the robot. Because even with the writing prompts, there's so many different ideas and experiences that people have. So
Yes, I
it's
agree.
something that I'm going to carry around with me, and I'm going to start putting down some of my stories just for just to keep the creative juices flowing. I think it's something that could be really
I
fun.
think that is
And I
amazing.
think that's super cool. Yeah.
Heck yeah, I love that idea. I think that's fantastic. Well, speaking of, I think we've had a pretty good rambling episode here, but I think it's
Yes.
about time to call it.
All
So,
right.
don't you think? Don't you think?
Yep. Yep.
Anything
I'm
left
looking
to
at the
add?
timer. No, that was the last thing. Well, just you were talking about
I'm so glad you
creativity. We
brought that
covered
up.
the 36-step challenge.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're coming into the holiday season, which is super excited. I'm pumped about it. Will we get to see you up here?
And that is still unknown.
Yeah, one of my kiddos asked me yesterday, hey, are we going to see you? I'm like, I have no idea. But you're going to be gone, not next week, but the week after, right?
This week. We either need to record early or record late.
Ooh, we're going to
So
have a special recording.
I leave Friday to go to Florida. We're actually going to stay with Jason now.
You don't want to record on the cruise?
I don't think I'll have any signal on the cruise.
Oh, I thought they had Wi-Fi.
I'm cheap. I'm not paying for Wi-Fi. I don't even want to look at my phone for like 6 days.
I thought they just gave it to you.
No, they're like hotels in the early 2000s. Like you pay $50 a day to get Wi-Fi on your phone.
Yeah, that's a hard pass. Hard pass.
Yeah. Maybe it's 20. I'm cheap.
No,
I'm
it doesn't matter.
Pay $20. Like, yeah. Even if it was free, I'd probably still not mess with my phone. But we could we could get an episode in with Jason if we wanted Saturday. Probably not Sunday morning. But then I'll be off the boat on Friday.
Okay.
That. So
wow. So
wants to know my itinerary.
There you go, people. So if it's time to break into Kilted's house, it's coming up soon. Coming up soon.
Do it soon.
So, all right. Well, good to know. So this may be the last one you hear for us for about a week. Maybe not. Maybe you'll get an early one. We'll have to see. Maybe we can do a best of. I can go back through episodes. A lot of episodes I'd have to remember what we talked about. I don't know if I have that kind of time. All right, people.
I was thinking.
We'll see if I have that kind of energy. Until then, this is Ballbuster checking out.
It's a Dragon Jerry. Love you all.